I'm going to show you how I use ChatGPT to literally save me hundreds of hours of work when I'm trying to either solve a problem or figure out how to do something. So here we are in ChatGPT. If you haven't already signed up for an OpenAI account, you just have to go onto the website and then sign up with a Google account. That's how I went ahead and did it. And if you're a first-time user, it'll get you access to GPT 3.5. I'm a Plus user, so $20 a month, so I get access to GPT 4, which is just much more powerful than 3.5, but I'm going to show how you can do all of this in 3.5 today. So let's head on over into the interface right here, and we're just going to run through a quick example. And since I use ChatGPT for a lot of code stuff, that's what I'm going to be using as an example today. Just understand that the core concept stays the same for whatever subject you want to use it for. So let's say I have an issue that I want to figure out how to solve. We're going to go ahead and ask a quick question to ChatGPT. And the example we're going to use today is how to upload files to GitHub, as I know this can be confusing to some people in the beginning of their GitHub journey, and it was definitely confusing to me in the beginning because of all the different things you have to consider while uploading to GitHub, etc, etc. So let's just go ahead and run through a prompt. I am a beginner with no knowledge in coding, but have to upload some files to GitHub. I already have downloaded the Git tool as supplied by my professor, but don't understand how exactly to upload files to GitHub. So here I have set a premise on what my knowledge is, so it can approach it in an appropriate way. I am a beginner with no knowledge in coding, and the objective that I'm trying to do is upload a file to GitHub. To give it some more background, I already have the Git tool downloaded as supplied by the professor, but don't know how to do the uploading process. The last part of the prompt that is very important for me, at least when I'm starting out with any question, is now I will say, please start by asking any clarifying questions. So in case you didn't think of something to ask ChatGPT, by asking it to clarify with questions, you can now think about the questions and answer those questions so that ChatGPT can better respond. So let's go ahead and enter that in. So here we go. Of course, I'd be happy to help. And here are the 3 clarifying questions that it has before it wants to proceed. So I'm going to go ahead and type 1. I don't actually TBH. I have a GitHub account set up already. And here it's going to give me some instructions. So just on a quick observation of this, this looks correct. However, I did notice that it is asking me to clone a repository, but let's say I don't know what cloning is, or I actually don't want to clone it, and it's not giving me what I actually want to do, which is initialize my own repository. As well, sometimes it does give links. So in this case, it does in fact go to the correct GitHub page. However, sometimes the links are broken, unfortunately. But here, if we type in that Git version, we can see that it does in fact work, and this is the version of Git that I do have, so that line of code does work. And now what I often do is ask clarifying questions or re-clarify what I'm actually trying to achieve so that ChatGPT kind of understands a little bit more. So as I was reading through this, I was like, okay, wait, what is cloning? What if I want to do initialization? So I can actually ask that exact question. Wait, what is cloning? I believe I am supposed to initialize my own repository. And then we send that clarifying question, and it's going to say something like this. It usually always says apologize for the confusion. And now it's going to give me a more detailed response on how I can go ahead and get this set up with my own repository, my own local files. So a quick browse through this, it does look correct. And if you had any questions, the whole concept of this is if you have any questions of the answers that ChatGPT provides, simply copy paste and ask for clarification. Let's say I don't know what the heck is happening here with the command line prompts here. I can copy and paste that whole thing. So starting with something like, I don't understand what happened here. Can you break it down for me? And then you just paste it, and it'll now go through the part of the answer that you had a question on, and it's going to break these steps down even further to make it clearer. So here we go. We've got additional clarifications on that. And you can just keep going down that line of clarification to get better responses, to get clarified on anything, to get better answers, and understand things better. So now let's move on to something that is a little bit more technical, a little bit more complex to integrate, and that is using documentation that you have no familiarity over. So we're gonna go ahead and create a quick chatbot using the documentation from OpenAI. And let's say we have no idea on how to create a chatbot with OpenAI. So we're gonna head on over to this chat area right here. And let's say we have no idea on what we exactly want to do here. So we'll just go ahead and copy all of this until we get down to completions, and let's copy and paste that into ChatGPT. I want to create a chat bot with OpenAI's API/documentation. What should I start with here? We can go ahead, copy and paste that. And then please start by asking any clarifying questions. So cool, certainly it looks like you have an interest in creating chatbot using OpenAI's chat API. So it's gonna tell us some things here: authentication, API endpoint, all of these things you could read through. And let's say you read through this and you're like, what the heck does any of this mean? Once again, you can always copy and paste the answer into the prompt and ask for clarifying questions. But let's just say that you just want to implement it in Python real quick. So we can go ahead and now say, I just want to implement this in Python real quick. Can you give me some boilerplate code to do so? We can say something like that, and here we go. It'll give us some code that we can go ahead and implement. So here we have VS Code open. This is what I use to develop, and so I just go ahead and copy all of this and then head on over into here, and let's go ahead and run it, and we're gonna get some errors. So we're gonna go ahead and copy and paste the errors into the ChatGPT window, and it's gonna tell us, oh, we need to install pip requests. So we can go back, head on over into here, run a pip install requests. It's gonna run through that and install it for us, and then we'll just go ahead and run it one more time. So what we're gonna end up getting here is another issue because we don't have an API key set up. Throw this into ChatGPT, and once again, it's going to tell us, oh, you need an API key. So let's go ahead and get an API key set up real quick. So if we just click and open this link in new tab, it'll bring us into this page right here, which we can create a new secret key. We're just gonna call this delete me because I'm gonna delete it after the video. Create a secret key. And then now I can copy and paste this into the code. So if we head back on over into here, we can now delete that and paste in our OpenAI key. And then we can just run it one more time and it should be good to go. And here is the answer. So why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. So cool, we have a quick implementation of a chatbot all given to us by ChatGPT. And let's say that we now want to be able to input something instead of it giving us a static response, because as you just saw, we didn't have to type in anything before it gave us a response. So I want to provide an input to the chat, like a chat bot. Can you modify the code that I have here for that? So I'm gonna go ahead and go back into the window, copy everything, go back into ChatGPT, paste that, and it's going to give us the modified code that we need. And just a quick read through here, it looks like it misunderstood what I actually wanted to accomplish. So it actually just added more context to the conversation list. So let's go ahead and re-clarify. Actually, I want to enter in the question or prompt when the code is running, not have it hard coded. And it's going to revise the code here. So here we go. Looks like we have everything that we need. We're looking for this user input. So we can go ahead now and copy the code, head on over back into the window, delete everything, and then copy paste back in. And so if we go ahead and rerun this down here, you will see a new option has popped up where I can type a response. And let's just say, what is the Laplace transform? And once we enter in and type the question, it's going to generate the response. And here it is. So now we've got a assistant. So now we've got our own version of ChatGPT running locally, all set up through just asking ChatGPT on how to actually implement this. So this is actually how I first got started with making my own ChatGPT chatbot. And from there, it just spiraled down on into many other things. As if you've seen my channel, you know I have an AI assistant called Vivi that is beyond that. It's got voice response, etc., AI streaming, all of that. And that all stemmed from using ChatGPT to help me understand the OpenAI documentation and create the actual code that would be needed for that, learning along the way all of these different concepts. And lastly, let's head over to one more example, and that is summarization and understanding. So let's go on over into this RVC GitHub, and let's just go ahead and copy all of the lines of code here, and we're going to ask ChatGPT to help me break it down. There is a context window limit for ChatGPT, so some things are too long for ChatGPT to actually take in and understand. So just note that. But for the sake of the example, we're going to go ahead and copy the 600 lines of code here and ask it a question. So I need help understanding what is happening here. Can you break it down for me? Go ahead, copy and paste that, and it's going to read through it. So cool, it gives me a very high level overview of the code. And then one thing that you can also ask as well is, can you give me parts of the code and specific examples within this code that exhibit the bullet points you listed? So with this, it'll give us some of the code that responds to the key functionalities that was mentioned. It sometimes, depending on how long the code is, will not actually output everything. In this case, it looks like it only outputted 4. So sometimes you do have to play around with it a little bit more and be a little bit more specific. Like instead of asking for all of them, we could now copy and paste that bullet point and say, can you provide me the code where this part happens? Go ahead and save and submit this, and it's going to now provide the code for where this happens inside of the function above. And so here it is right here. If we go ahead and copy and paste this, go into the repository that we were at before and Control F and find it, we can find that here is the function, and we could always verify that it is matching what ChatGPT is saying and stuff like that. So, you know, cross-referencing, making sure that ChatGPT is not hallucinating in the code. And yeah, I find this very useful for helping me go through code and understanding what's actually occurring inside of the code, as there are so many things that I still have to learn about different projects and just Python in general. So these are some ways that I save hundreds of hours when I am going through code, when I am creating software, when I am just working on projects, because ChatGPT is just very good at helping me flesh out ideas, think through things, and provide implementations for things I want to do. So I know I showed all code in this video, but this applies to many other subjects as well. You can do it for creative things. I use it as well to help me brainstorm stuff for YouTube, so it helps out in that aspect. It does get a little robotic at times, so that could be a thing, but GPT-4 is actually a little bit better for the creative side of things in terms of answers and whatnot. So hopefully you found this video useful. It is one of many that I'm going to be creating for how I use ChatGPT to save time. Because honestly, I think more people should be using ChatGPT for things that they do on a daily, as I use this tool every day, and I've been using this tool every day since it came out. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you found anything useful, please consider liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you again later.